Welcome to Psych Insight, where we view the world through the lens of psychology. If you find this content helpful, please share, like, and subscribe to join our community and stay updated with our latest insights. Thank you for watching. Now, let's delve into an intriguing question. Have you ever considered that our greatest vulnerabilities may also be the source of immense power? Today, we're unraveling Law #33 from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, which sheds light on the concept of discovering and exploiting individual vulnerabilities. Let's dive into the psychological heart of this law. It hinges on the understanding that every person has a particular point of weakness. It could be a fear, an obsession, or a need. This soft spot can be leveraged to influence or control. It might sound a bit Machiavellian, but it's a tactic as old as human interaction itself. Consider cognitive biases, for instance. We all have them, and they color how we perceive the world. One of the most common is confirmation bias, where people tend to seek out and interpret information in ways that confirm their existing beliefs. If you understand someone's confirmation bias, you can present information that aligns with their worldview, gaining their trust and influence. Then there's the need for, we're social creatures by nature, and we crave approval, whether it's from peers, authority figures, or through achievements. If you can identify someone's specific need for validation, you can wield it as a powerful tool in influencing their behavior. Emotional triggers, too, play a significant role. Fear and anxiety can be potent motivators. By understanding what a person fears most, whether it's failure, rejection, or loss, you can guide them towards desired actions. Similarly, many individuals have an intense desire for power and control. Recognizing this can allow you to craft situations where they believe they are gaining power, even when they might be acting in another's interest. Finally, let's touch upon interpersonal dynamics. The need to belong and be accepted by a group can be a major influence. Understanding a person's social affiliations and the dynamics within these groups can provide insights into their behavior and motivations. Now that we've laid the groundwork, let's delve into history to see how this law has been employed by some of the most influential figures. As we journey through time, we'll discover that this law, when applied masterfully, can be a key to unlocking power and influence. In the intricate dance of 17th century French politics, Cardinal Richelieu danced like a master. His partner in this dance was none other than the king himself, Louis XIV. But unlike most partners, Louis was more a puppet than an equal, and Richelieu was the puppet master, pulling the strings. Louis XIII, although a king, was a man plagued by insecurities. He was indecisive, often paralyzed by the weight of ruling a kingdom, and felt constantly overshadowed by his more assertive nobles. This made him vulnerable, and Richelieu, with his keen understanding of human psychology, saw an opportunity in these vulnerabilities. Richelieu identified Louis's insecurities as the king's thumbscrew, his weak point that could be exploited. He played to these insecurities, positioning himself as an indispensable advisor to the king. He became the rock that Louis could lean on, the guiding hand that would steer him through the turbulent waters of 17th century French politics. But this was not an act of altruism on Richelieu's part. He was not just helping a friend in need. He was playing a calculated game of power. By becoming indispensable to Louis, he was securing his own position of influence. He was ensuring that no decision could be made, no policy could be implemented without his approval. He was in effect the power behind the throne. Richelieu's strategy also involved stoking the king's need for stability and validation. He made Louis feel that he was the only one who could provide the stability the kingdom needed. He validated Louis's decisions, making him feel competent and in control, and in doing so, he manipulated the king into becoming more and more dependent on him. This strategy worked wonders for Richelieu. He became one of the most powerful men in France, all while remaining in the shadows, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. His power was not overt, it was subtle, it was covert, but it was just as real, if not more so, than the power wielded by the king himself. Richelieu's manipulation of the king's vulnerabilities was a classic application of Law #33. He discovered Louis's thumbscrew, and he turned it to his advantage. and in doing so, he showed us just how potent this law can be when used with sophistication and wit. J. Edgar Hoover, the first director of the FBI, understood the power of secrets. He knew that everyone, no matter how powerful or influential, had a weakness. A thumbscrew, if you will. He made it his business to uncover those vulnerabilities, transforming them into potent tools for control and influence. Hoover served as the director of the FBI for an astonishing 48 years, from 1924 until his death in 1972. During his tenure, he built an empire of information, diligently compiling extensive files on politicians, government officials, and public figures. These files were brimming with indiscretions, secrets, and most importantly, vulnerabilities. His strategy was simple yet effective. By unearthing these weaknesses, he could subtly manipulate and influence those in power. If a politician had a scandalous secret, Hoover knew about it. If a public figure had a clandestine habit, Hoover had it filed away, and with this knowledge, he held a metaphorical sword over the heads of those who dared to challenge him. This wasn't just about maintaining his position, it was about power. The power to shape policy, to sway public opinion, to control narratives. By exploiting vulnerabilities, Hoover was able to navigate the treacherous waters of Washington, D.C. politics, ensuring his reign remained unchallenged. But it's important to remember that while Hoover was exceptionally strategic in his manipulation, his tactics were undoubtedly ethically dubious. He used fear and coercion as tools of control, perpetuating a culture of secrecy and suspicion. His reign serves as a stark reminder of the fine line between influence and manipulation, between power and tyranny. Yet there is no denying that Hoover was a master of Law 33. He understood that every person had a thumbscrew, a point of vulnerability that could be exploited, and he used this understanding to build a nearly impenetrable fortress of power. Hoover's use of others' vulnerabilities as a tool for power is a chilling example of Law 33 in action. In the French court of the 16th century, Catherine de' Medici played a high-stakes game of power. The Italian noblewoman, who would become the Queen of France, deftly navigated the treacherous waters of court politics. Her secret weapon? She understood the power of identifying and exploiting vulnerabilities. Catherine de' Medici was no stranger to the capricious nature of power. Married to Henry II of France, she found herself in a court teeming with ambitious nobles, each vying for influence. To maintain her position and protect her family's interests, Catherine had to play the game, and she had to play it well. In this complex dance of power, Catherine discovered the value of understanding each individual's unique weaknesses. Just as a sculptor sees the figure within the stone, Catherine saw the leverage points within the people around her. She knew that every person had a soft spot, a fear, a desire, a need that could be manipulated for her benefit. Whether it was a noble's fear of falling from favor, a courtier's desire for recognition, or a rival's need for security, Catherine was always attuned to these subtle nuances. She knew how to stoke fears, fan desires, and exploit needs to maintain her influence and keep potential threats in check. But Catherine's mastery of courtly maneuvers was not about brute manipulation. It was a delicate art, a balance of giving and taking, of pushing and pulling. She knew when to apply pressure and when to offer comfort, when to provoke and when to appease. It was this understanding of human psychology, this ability to read and react to people's vulnerabilities, that made her a formidable player in the game of power. Catherine's strategies may seem Machiavellian, perhaps even ruthless, but they underscore the potency of Law 33. Identifying and exploiting vulnerabilities is not about sowing discord or causing harm. It's about understanding the human condition, the universal truths of fear, desire, and need that drive us all. Catherine's adept use of vulnerability information underlines the potency of Law 33. It's a reminder that power is not just about strength or authority, but about understanding, empathy, and the ability to see the unseen. In today's world, the principles of Law 33 continue to hold sway. Whether it's the high-stakes arena of business, the intricate dance of politics, or the nuanced dynamics of personal relationships, understanding motivations and vulnerabilities can be a powerful tool. Consider the world of business. negotiations, strategic alliances, competitive positioning. Each of these aspects hinges on an understanding of the other party's motivations and vulnerabilities. Knowing your competitors' weak points, their fears, and their desires can provide a strategic edge, enabling you to secure better deals or establish advantageous partnerships. It's like playing a chess game, where understanding your opponent's strategy can help you anticipate their moves and plan your own accordingly. Politics, too, is a realm where this law is in full play. Politicians often leverage their understanding of their opponent's vulnerabilities to gain an advantage. They may exploit fears, play on biases, or use the need for validation to influence decisions and sway public opinion. But this isn't limited to the political arena. It extends to any situation where power dynamics are at play, including office politics or even social circles. Personal relationships aren't immune to the principles of law number 33. We all have fears, needs, and insecurities. Understanding these in others can help us build stronger, more empathetic relationships. However, it's important to remember that this understanding should be used to foster connection and mutual respect, not as a tool for manipulation. But here's the catch. Wielding the power that comes from understanding others' vulnerabilities must be done ethically. The line between influence and manipulation can be thin, and crossing it can lead to significant negative consequences. It's a delicate balance, a dance of power that requires not just understanding, but also respect and empathy for others. In the end, the power that comes from understanding others' vulnerabilities is immense, but with it comes the responsibility to use that power wisely. The real power lies not in exploiting vulnerabilities, but in understanding them and using that knowledge to build stronger, more meaningful connections.